This is my most recent studio, an addition I had built onto the house about 3 years ago. And I love working in it because being part of the house, it means if I want to work in my dressing gown before I bathe in the morning, I can. And when I work into the early hours, which is normal practice for me, I don't have far to go to call it a day. It's warm and it's quiet and conducive to work. But thinking about the new commission that I'm about to commence work on for the new Gloucestershire College, I'm not sure whether it's going to be the most suitable space. Physically, I would be able to fit it in because I could run it along one of the lines on the ceiling. It measures 2 meters high by 4.5 meters wide. But the problem is, as this studio is upstairs, Richard calls it my eyrie, manoeuvring the panels, the 3 panels of the triptych up and down from the studio could prove difficult. So I'm now trying to decide which space would be best. My original studio, which is downstairs, has now become a music and playroom, so I could easily turn it back into studio space. I'll consider that, and of course my biggest studio, which is just across the lane. But even there, I'd probably have to make some alterations. But I'm very fortunate in having a choice. This was one of my first studios. I loved working here, but it became too small for the amount of work that I was creating. Thinking about the Gloucestershire College Commission, though, it would be possible because of the height under the skylights to run the commission along here and over the gap if I have a wooden framework to support it. Although the biggest problem I foresee would be that even after I'd moved these things out, I could never stand back more than about 6 foot from the surface of the painting. And at 4.5 meters wide, even though I intend to make it a triptych and possibly move or work on parts separately at times, I do need to see it as a whole. So perhaps this wouldn't be ideal because I'd have to run it over the open space, and that would tend to close a lot of the room off. So, having considered it, I think I'll look at the space across the lane. I could probably take it from there to here. And that would be good in daylight hours because, of course, I usually work in front of the French windows and I get good light coming in until late afternoon. night, because a lot of my work is created at night. I could work within this space by pushing it back. If I had the wall above that doorway removed and the framework at either side. I have the height here to lift the painting up when working on the lower section. It's always the lower section that's more of a problem than the higher parts, because for the higher top areas I can always use a ladder or a stool, or as when painting the large crucifixion painting, where I was spending long periods of time elevated, I had a table-like constructor on which I sat on a stool and had another small paint table full of paints, so that I could spend the hours refining. Of course, that wasn't as high as this particular. Now this is the downside of having such alterations made. The devastation and the rubble. It's the part I like least, although I imagine Eddie might quite enjoys it. I don't suppose it'll take him that long to get it back together again. But what was a lovely white doorway has now become broken, bare bricks, lots of rubble, but he'll probably get it together within a week or two. Of course, he's still got to remove the wall above that doorway and the frame from the side. But in 2 weeks, I reckon it'll probably be transformed. Well, this is really exciting. Eddie's finished the work, and so I have a much bigger opening here. And I think it makes the studio feel more spacious. And also, I have a bigger opening this side, right up to the ceiling. And now Richard's painted it white, I can visualise the commission fitting into this space and being painted comfortably.